Well, it is an honor to be here tonight in this, like you were saying, this celebration of past, present, and future, where we have these entrepreneurs that have done these extraordinary things. And it is an honor to be able to be with you tonight. About 3 or 4 years ago, I jumped out of an airplane. I don't know if you've ever done that. Has anybody ever done skydiving before? You have. And I have, and I don't think I'm going to do it again. But it was something that really was profound. And yeah, that's me, 10,000 feet. But one of the things about jumping out of an airplane that I came to recognize is that it looked different, it felt different, it sounded different, and it was different, and it required more out of me than I expected. I remember we came to the place in the space where you're sitting on the outside of the plane while sitting inside of the plane. For those of you that have jumped out of a plane, you know what I'm talking about. Where the door opens up and you're looking out into the sky. And the clouds that you've always looked at this way, you're looking at this way. And that moment comes, 1, 2, 3, go. You're holding your hands to your chest, you clear the plane, and then you fall, or you fly. The reason why I think that's significant is because you graduates, those of you that are stepping into this new space and place of entrepreneurship, are moving into a place that is the unknown. And one of the other things that I noticed about jumping out of an airplane is there's 2 things that stand out. Outside of the sounds and everything else, you're aware of 2 specific elements, and those elements are sky and earth. Sky because you're looking at everything, but earth because you don't want to run into the earth too quickly. And I think the same thing is true. We're stepping into entrepreneurship. We're moving into higher levels of leadership and influence. Earth being the reality that we exist within, sky, the vision that we're reaching for. See, it's wonderful on an evening like this. We've got these beautiful lights. We've got the music. We got the screens. We have the amazing food. See, this is the moment where entrepreneurship feels cool, doesn't it? But leadership, entrepreneurship isn't always cool. And it doesn't always feel good. And anybody that's done this for any amount of time can tell you that there are times where there's those dark nights of the soul, if you will. Those times when the contract wasn't renewed. The time where the funding was exhausted, or that anchor client that you were counting on went in a different direction. It's in those moments, those hard moments, those difficult, challenging times where we have to have our feet rooted in the earth while we look up and reach for the sky. There are 4 questions that I want you to think about, that you are to ask yourself in these moments of darkness. The first question is, what is my future story? And when I talk about the future story, I'm talking about you, I'm talking about your family, I'm talking about your relationships, but I'm also talking about your business. What is your future story? What are we going to look like in 2028? What are we going to look like a decade from now? What is the vision that I'm reaching for? Because the vision that I'm reaching for is going to be the engine, the battery, the thing that's going to keep me moving forward. I've got to keep looking and reaching for the sky. The second question is, what is my origin story? I saw a little dude that I know loves Spider-Man. For those of us that are into the MCU or DC or comic books, every hero has an origin story. What is yours? The third question that I want you to think about is, what is your present story? Where am I at today? And the last question is, what is my why story? What is my future? What is my past? What is my present? And what is my purpose? Because it's important for us in those moments where we're dealing with adversity, we're dealing with pressure, we're dealing with difficulty, we're dealing with things that we did not expect, that we have to stay rooted to the earth while we're reaching for the sky. There was a moment a few years ago where I was counting on some things coming together. Have you ever been in that space, business person, leader, entrepreneur, where you're like, you know what, this thing is lined up, everything is cool. We've had this relationship over a period of time, and then all of a sudden it changed. And I would love to tell you that, man, I was like, that's cool. But the reality was I wasn't. I remember sitting in my house, and I was so disappointed that it wasn't just mental and emotional, it was physical. You ever been there? Have you been in a night that dark, that challenging? I felt like, man, tears were in my eyes because it wasn't seeming like it was going to come together. It's in those moments of uncertainty that we have to be rooted on the earth with our eyes to the sky. So what did I do? The first thing I had to ask myself is, what am I learning in this? What is this circumstance teaching me? What is this circumstance calling out of me that I didn't know was there? What about this circumstance is challenging me to live at a higher level? What in this circumstance is causing me to be a better leader than I was before in that dark night of the soul? When you and I are in those moments, it's important for us to get reconnected to our vision. And like it was back in the day on that show, Can You Be a Millionaire? Remember that? Where you call a friend. You and I have to stay connected to community if we're going to be people that are going to operate at the level that our vision demands. So here's some practical things. One, write down your vision. Write down your vision, and as the good book says, make it plain. Write down your vision. Write down, in addition to writing down your vision, write down why your vision must happen. The other thing is identify your Goliath. What is your Goliath? What is a Goliath? Now, I know that we all are bold and brave people living audaciously in this space, but there might be somebody that might be afraid of something. You ever been afraid of something? I have. What is the thing that is the Goliath, the thing that brings fear or challenge or adversity to my life? And it's in that space that we're able to dig in and, I believe, elevate to the next level as we overcome our adversity. The other thing is, let's pay it forward. All of us want to be at a different level. But how are we serving, how are we investing, and how are we giving to those around us? About a month or so ago, I was doing a project with my youngest daughter, and I had to go to the fabric store. And I went to the fabric store, and I was hanging out there, and there was a woman that was in front of me in line, and she was buying some yarn and some other things, and her car was declined. I know that's not happened to anybody here, but it's happened to me. And my heart went out to her. as I could see that she was embarrassed. She was fumbling through her purse. It was a moment, the person that was behind the register did not appear or seem to be very compassionate. And she left. And I went up to the woman, the cash register. I said, listen, I want to buy her stuff. And I think it came up to be less than $5. And I walked out, and the lady was in her van, and she was scrambling to try to get some change together. And I said, excuse me, ma'am. I said, I got your stuff. You can go in and get it. It's waiting for you. And she turned to me and she said, well, why did you do that? And I turned back to her and I said, why wouldn't I? See, I think it's important as we are trying to go to the next level. We're trying to level up. We're trying to dig deeper. We're trying to make that space and that place and accomplish our vision, that along the way, we're paying it forward. And we are the people that we were looking for when we needed help. Because there was a time when we were the person trying to get the yarn and our car was declined and maybe somebody had our back. While we're reaching, we need to be people that are steadily sowing, and we're investing and we're giving and we're paying forward to those that are around us. We got to prepare ourselves. If you and I are going to level up, it's going to require a different level of us. That means that we are going to elevate as we eliminate aspects of our life, our habits. We're going to add, we're going to grow, but we got to subtract some things. That means I'm not going to maybe be able to binge watch that series. I'm not going to be able to do that thing. Why? Because I'm investing, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm digging, I'm preparing myself to be able to deal with the Goliaths, the adversity, the challenges. And when those dark nights of the soul, those difficult times come, I'm able to elevate, I'm able to press through, I'm able to dig in, and I'm able to grow. And in that, be an inspiration and be a source of wisdom and power and presence for others. And then the last thing, we got to ask for what we need. We got to ask for what we need. Look at your boy right there with the high top fade. This is a very powerful thing. The next picture is a picture of me and the CEO of MoviePass, the founder of the Urban World Film Festival, a real leading voice on storytelling and artificial intelligence. And I read his book called Black Founder. And if you've not read the book Black Founder, I would encourage you to read it. It's extraordinary. And I was so inspired by it, I said, I got to tell this guy about his book. And I was getting ready to send him a message via LinkedIn, but I felt like I was supposed to do a video and give him a quick review of his book. And I did, and I sent it to him. A few weeks later, he came back to me and he would say, hey man, thank you. We set up a conversation, we set up a call. I invited him to my event, FutureCast, which is an opportunity for industry leaders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and change makers to help build the future through a lens of hope. And this will be our 4th year doing it, 3rd year in New York. And we asked him to be a part of it, and he said yes. Then he invited us to be a part of an innovation summit at the Urban World Film Festival and looking at other opportunities to move forward and partner together. And none of that would have happened if I didn't ask. I don't know if you know this, but a pearl is the only gem that is created inside a living organism. It's the only one. Everything else comes from the ground. A pearl is the only thing that came from something that was alive. And it happens through inspiration and irritation. Some of us that are here today were inspired, but we got some irritants. We're inspired, but we got some adversity. We're inspired, but we have some challenges. And the temptation when we're irritated, though we're inspired, is to try to get away from the challenges that are in front of us. Hold on to what we know. Hold on to what we've experienced. But in order for you and I to go to the next level, we've got to let go, just like I did when I jumped out of the plane that afternoon. And recognize that the inspiration that is irritated, as we move and we press and we go and we dig and we try and we reiterate and we're refined, something beautiful, something amazing, something transformative, something that is gigantic, something that is global, something that is multi-generational can happen, all because the inspired were irritated and they wouldn't quit. Thank you very much. Ups to you. Congratulations, 10 years, Spring GR.